Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Tuesday Circle podcast. My name is Markita with Angel 22, and we have
Hey y'all, what's up? It's Nick from Angel 22, and welcome back to another episode of Tuesday Circle the podcast.
yes, and we're so excited to be here. We hope that so far that you've watched all the episodes that we've put out. We hope that you are enjoying them. This is episode 207, and we are excited to talk a little bit more about kind of where we left off in 206. If I remember correctly, 206, we talked about just leading up to when our mom, well, not leading up to, we actually talked about when our mom passed away, how that was. We talked a little bit about funeral planning and all of the ups and downs with that. So, this episode, we're going to spend time just continuing on from that conversation, really getting into the viewing, the funeral, and then a little bit about life after that and how that was for us. But if you have been watching us, you know that we start all of our episodes with the angel check in. So this is the time where we check in with each other to see how we are feeling and how we may have noticed our mom's presence this week. As always, we invite you all to check in with someone that you are close to, or even if you aren't checking in with somebody else, maybe you're just checking in with yourself and just figuring out how you felt your mom or mom figure's presence this week and what that has been like for you. So please excuse the fireworks in the background. You may hear them because it is 4th of July weekend, so don't mind it. So we're going to go ahead and get right into that angel check-in. So Nick, how would you say that you have, well, first, how are you feeling? And then how would you say that you have, if you have, you may not have, um, felt mommy's presence this week?
Yeah, so also too, I'm gonna use the same disclaimer as Marquita did. They are letting off fireworks in my neighborhood as well. So if you all hear that, please excuse that. But so this week I'm just exhausted. I worked all week and then obviously for a holiday weekend, so I'm a little tired. But overall, I'm feeling great. I think like, just lately I've just kind of just been coasting and just kind of taking what I can bear each and every day, right? And then just trying to slow down my days, slow down like just everything that may cause me to feel like I need to kick myself into overdrive. Um and to answer the second part of the question, like how I felt mommy this week, or her presence this week. So I may have shared this on our Instagram platform, but like a mixture of my uncle too, but my mom played a big part in like my ears for music. And I've been listening to a lot of like old school music lately, and it's really been like reminiscent of like my mom, because like she would play certain songs and she'll be like, what you know about that, what you know about that. And I mean, I didn't know about it at the time, but I used to be like, oh, I kind of like this song, so
Mm-hmm.
kind of listening to those songs that make me feel closer to my mom, that kind of remind me of different memories that we shared with her while she was here. So that's what I'll say. When it comes to that, Marquita, how are you feeling this week, and also how have you felt mommy's presence, if you did or did not?
So this week has been, I would say, I have not felt one way all week. Like my emotions have been just up and down all week, just with regular life stuff. Um, and in terms of mommy's presence, I don't really think I have felt a strong presence um this week in regards to mommy. I feel like I've had moments, especially over the past couple days, where I've just had her on my mind in a sense of what life would be like if she was here, or like how easier things would be if she was here. But you know what? Now that I think about it, when I was at work on Friday, because I do work with children, I always am so full when I see children is so excited to see their moms picking them up from school. Like that brings me a lot of joy at work. And I just always, even if it's a short thought, always think about the times that mommy would come pick us up from school and how much of a good feeling that is to have your parent come back. And working with little kids, most of the time they're really sad, they miss their mom. Oh, is she gonna come back? And you always are constantly like reassuring them, like, your mom's coming back, she's coming back. Don't be sad, mommy's coming back. Um, so it's always exciting when they actually come back. Because sometimes I find myself holding my breath too, because I'm just like, oh God. I just pray that their mom comes and pick them up because I would never want a child to feel what we feel. Um, so I would say definitely on Friday I caught myself daydreaming about that, or just like staring at the families like when they come pick the children up, and how much is a how much of a good feeling it is when you do see your mom. So that's what I would say.
Yo, I want to speak on that because I so love that. Like that is like um something that like is kind of like that we overlook.
Mhm.
And I will say like, and it's so crazy, and it's not, it's off topic just a tad bit, but that made me think about, I was talking to my dog. Yo, well, Marquita knows my dog, but just for people who are watching, um and like that feeling of what it feels like to be like a pet owner is kind of like similar to, I guess, like the feeling of like having like a person who cares for you, that
Mhm.
always makes sure that you're like well taken care of. So the point I'm trying to make here is like, I had gotten the house late from work the other night because I was working overtime. So when I got in the house, um I let my dog out the crate and she was just so excited. She was so excited, so excited. But you could see that she was worried that I wasn't coming
Mhm.
home. And I always told her, I'd be like, Dora, I'm gonna always come back home to you. Like I'm gonna
Mhm.
always come home. Like, and that just made me think about what you just said, like that feeling of like the reassurance, like of
Mhm.
knowing like when your mom or mom figure is like, I'm gonna always come back for you. Like that is a feeling that's like, I think it's so immense because it makes you just feel like so safe.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Like that you're so we switching back over to the mom figure piece of it, is that like when your mom tells you that they're gonna come back for you and they never let you down. Like
Mhm.
like that feeling is like so like it's underrated, bro. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up, bro. That
Mhm.
I so love that. I love that.
It's definitely underrated because it becomes such a like routine after a while that you take for granted how major and important it is to value those moments of just knowing that your mom is gonna come back, because there'll be moments like this where it's like she can't. So those are always good feelings to have. So that resonated with me. And in those moments, I definitely always think about mommy. Um, just being excited for her to come get us. And even if it wasn't from school, even if it was from like our friend's house or our great grandparents' house after a long day at work, she come pick us up, take us home. So yeah, that's what I would say. So we hope that you all have taken the time out while we were talking to just do your own check in, just to do a self check, self examination on how you're feeling, how you felt your mom or mom figure's presence this week, and how all of that makes you feel. So we hope that you have been able to join us in doing that. So we are going to get right on into this episode. So last week's episode, we talked about um like how it was when we went to the hospital and when we got the call about our mom passing away and how that was for us. And then we got a little bit into funeral planning and what that was like, which that was kind of, a heavy topic for us. So I want us to kind of land on the moment of being at the funeral home and doing the viewing and having a funeral. So I talked a lot last week. I'm gonna let Nick take the lead on this conversation in terms of the viewing and just having a funeral so we can kind of go ahead and cross that bridge.
Yeah, so we'll start with just like the viewing piece because like Marquita said, I know we talked a lot about. I think the last thing that we spoke about was um the planning process of, once our mom had kind of, reached the funeral home and we had to kind of go and sit down and talk about like logistics. And so just kind of segueing, right into the viewing piece. So, after you kind of done, with the funeral arrangements and things like that, you then kind of, put the like seal on it, right? And like at this point, and I don't know, maybe you could speak a little bit, about it as well, but like around this time, like things still feel surreal, right? Like it just feel like, okay, you thinking about it like, yeah, like mom's gone, but like in a sense it's like it feel like she's still there in like, some way, shape or form, right? So after we, kind of leave the funeral home, they pretty much tell you, like when the viewing is gonna be, and then they let you know, like, you start to plan out, the service and what it'll look like from top to bottom, and then also to kind of when the date for the funeral is and all of that stuff. And so, like after that time, I think, I think things were, at least, and I'll speak for me, they were a little like, I don't know, I just felt really like uncertain because or not uncertain, maybe unsettled. I'll say, sorry, I'll take that word back. Unsettled because it was almost like I felt like I couldn't stomach the idea that we literally just got finished like planning out like a funeral for our mom. Like that was just something that like you never see on your bingo card. Like especially that young, right? But at any age period, but like at the age that we were, like, I never like, you know, saw that in our future, right? And so at that time, we were, we kind of went back. We were spending a lot of time with family. We were spending a lot of time. We had a lot of our like friends and family like coming to see us at our uncle house and, coming to sit with us and all of that stuff. And so, we were just kind of taking it day by day until the viewing. And so the viewing came. And I know Marquita spoke about this, and I did as well in the last episode. So for you all who may not be familiar with the process, so even if you do choose to cremate someone or whatever, you still get to view them before that actually happens, right? And so, the viewing is, just for family, of course. You get to see them, right before, and that was something I knew I couldn't stomach. Like I couldn't stomach it because like I said in the last episode, it was really, really difficult for me to even deal with seeing her once she had passed away and she was in the hospital and they were just kind of waiting on her to be picked up. And so I already knew. I told Marquita straight up. I said, I ain't going back there to see mommy. I can't, you know. And so I spent my time in the lobby majority of the time. And Marquita put her big girl pants on and she was like, all right, I'll go back there. And I'm looking at Marquita like, "Oh, okay. I just knew I wasn't going back there, because that was very difficult for me. Like that was extremely hard. And I already had like trouble sleeping at that time. And I just couldn't stomach it. I couldn't stomach to see her like that again. So, and this Market, I want you to kind of, kind of speak to that because you were actually in the room with her, and I was not. But I know I shared moments with some family members who were coming in who did see her and they were devastated. Like people were so devastated. Like some people that I've never seen in like I guess like in that state of their life, like being emotional and crying. Like that's some stuff I've never seen before from some of our family members. And that was already a lot for me to handle, like seeing other people. And it's crazy to think that during those times you're also thinking about how other people are feeling. When it's like you should be worrying about how you feeling and allowing people to comfort and console you during those times, but it's oftentimes, which is odd, but like oftentimes you find yourself consoling the people who are coming there, right? Like so it kind of goes like, a play on what Marquita was saying, excuse me, when she was saying, I think it may have been last episode or other episodes before, but you know a lot of the times we feel like we gotta be strong, like we feel like we gotta like hold up the post, like hold on, wait, we can't allow it to fall. And it's like, no, like that's the moment for everybody to be emotional and to feel what they need to feel, right? Including us, because we had just lost our mom. But it's people, and Marquito speak about that too. It's people who are going into the viewing room. I mean, it broke them. Like, and we consoling them, asking them like, "Hey, are you okay?" And they looking at us like, "No, are you okay?" And maybe faking the funk a little bit, like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And it's like, "No, you're not good." You know. But Monkey, I do want to put a pin in it because I want you to talk about what that was like for you, kind of being in that space, um, and being back there with people in the room when people were viewing mommy before they cremated her.
Yeah, I would say, and it's gonna sound so odd, but I was really at peace in that moment. Like, and I don't know if it was like I try to process this every so often. Like, was I pretending to be strong, or was I pretending to have peace with it, or was it really hard? I can't. It don't. It's not gonna make sense. But I felt peaceful going in. Just being able to see her and rub her hair and make sure she, looked nice, which I don't even remember what she had on at the viewing. Um, that I don't remember. But it was just our moment for me to just kind of look at her and I guess accept that this is what it is. Um, and I don't remember crying. Um, I did feel a heaviness, but it just, I think it was more shock than anything. Like, it's almost like I was going through everything with this, like, layer on over top. So it was like everything was numb. And I felt some things, I didn't feel some things. And the only thing that I could just think to do was just look at her. Like, and I don't quite remember if I said anything to her, but it was not as heavy. I think my heavy moment, which we talked about a couple episodes ago, was us when we came home and just seeing her in that state where she couldn't speak, but I could just see the tears falling. I think that stuck with me and hurt me. I don't want to make it seem like one is hurt more than the other, but that was a moment for me that was hard to process. But I think maybe I had reached the point of just accepting it in that moment and just I don't know. It had to have been God because I didn't. I just felt light going in. So that was really, that was my experience, and it literally. I remember people coming in and out of the room, but it just felt like it was me and her in there, like for a while. Like I clearly can hear there was people in there. I could see people coming in and out. They want to see her, but it just felt like you know, it was just me and her, nothing else mattered, nobody else mattered, no other sound mattered, just me and her being there. So I think that was a moment of kind of closing that chapter and walking into definitely unknown territory, but it was a moment I had to accept. So yeah, that was pretty much my experience. And I knew that I was not only doing it for myself, but I was also doing it for Nick because Nick really didn't want to be in there and she didn't go in there. So that was like, it was important for me to kind of just see her one last time. Like Nick said, they will allow you to have a traditional viewing before they cremate. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and it's so crazy that like, cause in the last episode I kind of spoke about how I kind of had my moment with her, and obviously this was unintentionally, obviously, but it's just so crazy how it works that you shared that you felt like you had your own moment at that time with her when it felt like it was just y'all two in the room and nobody else. Like that's how it felt for me, when I was describing on the last episode for me, like I guess like once she had passed away and they were just waiting for her to be picked up. I felt that same moment because Marquita wasn't back there with me. Marquita had also left out of the hospital room and went into the lobby. I'm assuming, I don't know exactly where she went, not that the technicalities matter, but and it was just, I just know it was just me and my mother back there, you know what I mean? And like I felt like I had already got my time with her before she had left. And to Marquita's point as well, like I too also felt like in that moment that like that was, my time for me to say like my last goodbyes, to like rub her head and give her a kiss. And I think, that for me was extremely heavy. And I felt like that was enough for me. And it's so crazy because I'll never forget um when we were at the hospital, and I was back there with her when it was just me and her. And I remember I think it clicked a little bit, but I don't think I wanted to believe it. But like I like knew mommy was gone. Like when I had cried and the teardrop had fell on her face and it dried up like this, because her body was cold, and I just couldn't believe it. Like I think I was just in shock. Like I just I couldn't. And so with that heaviness, I knew I couldn't take going into the viewing room again. Like it was just something I just couldn't do. I I just couldn't do it. And so and also too, Marquita, to kind of give you your props for holding it down for both of us, because that was the last time, because after that viewing, that was it for us. Like, it was no more seeing our mom in human form anymore. And I think for me, I think, that is like it's soul crushing. Like because like I said before, like you never see it on your bingo card. Like that's not something that you see ever, even though like, when people time come, but that's not something that, that at least we, you know, kind of saw in our future with our mom. We thought, we was gonna have her till she was old and gray, or until at least we was a little older. But it was unfortunate. And so after the viewing, we kind of went back, was still doing the same thing, went back to our aunt and uncle house, and was spending time with people. People was calling us, like the endless support that we received in those moments, and after, the endless support. Um, People were comforting us, like, and in that moment, I'm not, and it's not, it's no shot to anybody, but in that moment, like I didn't feel it because everything was just so heavy. But like looking back on it now, it's evident that we had like a very good support system that we are both just so appreciative of, because I couldn't imagine like getting through that without family support. I mean, obviously, like, me and my sister know we got each other, but sometimes like we also need other people to pour into us as well. And I felt like during that time, leading up to the funeral, we were receiving, the endless support. And so, what I want to say, and maybe it's not correct, days wise, but a couple days in between, and then we had to return back for the funeral. Now, what I will say for myself, now I don't know how anybody else feel, and Marquita, you can also say how you feel, but to me, there is a difference in a funeral when you're seeing somebody in a casket versus being cremated. I'm gonna just say that. Now, I'm not saying that it's not sad altogether. I'm not, like Marquita said, I'm not saying that one is like worse than the other. I'm not saying that, but it does take the edge off just a little bit. For me, I'd say because I couldn't imagine like seeing the casket close on mommy. I think that would have been different for me. I think that would have just kind of took me out of there. Like, and so I think, at the end of the day, I think that, having her cremated for me kind of, allowed me to take, a little breather to still feel like, okay, cool. Like, you know, trying to escape reality in a way. Um, And so, with the funeral, packed house,
Yeah.
packed house for the funeral, packed house to the point where, like, cause they had it, so we had it. You get to choose also as well. You get to choose whether or not you want to have it in the church or if you want to have it in the actual funeral home or whatever your
Mhm.
arrangements are. And we chose to have it there. Packed, packed house.
Yeah.
So much so that they had to stop letting people in. They told people like, "Hey, it's filled to capacity," and so the outpour was like in the lobby. People just in the lobby, and it was just so many people. And like when I say like to me, like that made me feel good to see how much she was loved and
Yeah.
to see how many people she touched, outside of all of our family and her friends, her students that she taught when she was in the school system, they all came and they came in clusters,
Mhm.
and people we've never seen before, but they knew about us because one
Mhm.
thing our mom did, she bragged on her kids for sure. She bragged on us, and so a lot of them like they knew us, and you know, everything was just moving fast at that time. So some people I couldn't really recognize, and some people I really just didn't know. But um, to see that, that kind of adds to the support as well of like seeing the people that she's touched, and that kind of made my heart smile
Yeah.
in those sad moments to know that like that mommy was really loved and that she really touched a lot of people. And it made me think about what you were saying in the last episode during I think it's if our segment of if heaven had what is it, visiting
Visiting
hours.
hours. Mhm.
And you were saying like, I wonder if, that was mommy's purpose. And I don't know, to me seemingly, and I could be wrong, only mommy knows the
Mhm.
truth. But if I'm going off of what I saw, I think that I think that her purpose was fulfilled while she was here.
Yeah.
And she touched as many people as she could. And
Mhm.
it was so evident the day of the funeral, man. And for people who may be watching, who this may reach that may have been at the funeral and we don't even know you, or for the people who were there, all our family and friends, we want to like say thank you, like thank
Mhm.
you for the support, and for, kind of comforting us during that time. Like that
Yeah.
never went unnoticed, right? It never went unnoticed. And, we want you all to understand how important that was for us, for sure. For sure. But Market, I want you to kind of
Yeah.
speak on it too, obviously, because you obviously were there. And
Mhm.
though we were both there, we are both different and shared different
Mhm.
emotions and feelings. So I want you to speak on that too.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. The funeral was so packed to the point where we did run out of obituaries. And for a long time, I want to say up until maybe a few years ago, we didn't have an obituary of our own. For like us, we didn't have our own mother's obituary. We ran out of obituaries. Even once we got some more printed, we ran out of those. Um, so just like Nick said, it was just a beautiful thing to see how much she was loved on, how many people she touched, whether it was through hair, whether it was through teaching, whether it was through growing up, childhood, co-workers, family, best friends, uh just it was just crazy to see. And it it really speaks to the old saying of it takes a village. And it does, because so many of those people were actively involved in our lives and still are. And she, not that the numbers matter, but she deserved to have those people come out and love on her and love on her children and those that were in her immediate family, because we needed that encouragement to get through that. um I think one of, and we talk about this every so often, is one of the, like, saddest memories is just, well, especially for me, just having our great grandmother there with us. Like, our great grandmother is like seeing, sit at the funeral for her grandchild. And it's just like, I don't know, that did something to me. Just her having to see that. And yeah, it was just, it was one of those moments for me where it's almost like, I don't know if you can envision in movies where it's like the person is standing still, but everything around them is like moving. That's how it felt to me. Like, it just felt like I was just sitting there and everything around me was just moving, but I wasn't moving. Like, I wasn't present. I don't think. That's the word I would say. I don't think I was present in that moment. My mind was somewhere else. And I was just kind of going with the flow, going with the motions of things. Still me, I naturally will smile, but I notice a lot that I smile. It could be different reasons why I'm smiling. So, and I think that can be a mask for me. Me smiling really like covers up other emotions that I don't necessarily want to show. And I remember just doing a lot of smiling, because people come, they shake your hand and give you hugs, they want to talk to you, and all of those things. So I agree with you 1000% though, and I did want to circle back to that. It is a difference between having a funeral for somebody that's cremated and versus a funeral for somebody that is being, that's in a casket. It feels different. It looks different. It's just different because at her funeral, they had her urn just, in a glass, just sitting in the middle with her picture and flowers and, all of that stuff. So, yeah, I don't, I think for a lot of people, if they had to experience her being in the casket and watching the casket close, I think it would have been hard for a lot of people, for sure. I think it would have been hard, for a lot of people. But the funeral was, I felt loved more than anything. I felt loved because I know she was loved. And it felt good to be around genuine love. It was no drama, it was no chaos, it was nothing. And yeah, I think that was really my viewpoint of, the funeral. Um and again, it's just this fog with grief, and with grief compiled with the years that it's been, I'm sure there are a lot of parts that we are missing or that we may kind of speak over, not intentionally, but because we are just speaking about the things that we can recall. So I'm sure everybody else, had like, a different um perspective of, they had their own viewpoint of when they were there. But yeah, and I don't know, do you recall like once the funeral was over? Because we've talked about this, and I don't know. Do you remember if we had a view? I mean, if we had a repass.
No, I don't. Girl, I don't know. You know,
Uh,
and I'm gonna attribute this to what you always say, like grief can cause brain fog, and I really don't even. I couldn't even tell
I
you
don't
what happened
know.
after that was over. I couldn't. I I
We've
couldn't
talked
even
about
tell you.
this for so long. Like, did mommy have a repass? And it's literally, she had to have had one. That's the thing. But it's not a very clear memory for us. For us to kind of go like, okay, so we left the funeral, we did this, X, Y, and Z. It's like in my mind, it jumps from we left the funeral to us waking up the next day, and that's it. Though that detail, I just don't. I remember going through bits and pieces of the funeral. I remember getting up, walking out. After we walked out of the funeral, I don't know what happened after that. And I think that is so scary. And it's like I want to know. I want to remember. I it's like
Well, you already know who we need to call, so we can
yeah.
ask.
Mhm.
We can definitely ask that to figure out, what's what. But to kind of segue into um the topic of 207, what I do remember is the next day we went, and it's just so crazy to think about this. But the next day, I know we woke up, we went up to social service to go get our food stamps.
That was the next day.
I think so.
Mm, that's interesting. I don't remember that.
I think because I
I
know
don't remember that.
it's either that or a couple days later we. But I really do. But that's how fast my mind jumps
Yeah.
from like
It definitely skipped some steps.
um. But I wanted to kind of segue into that by saying like we literally didn't spend a lot of time, you know,
Processing.
processing the
It was
grief.
just go mode after that.
Boom, we in go mode because now at this
Yeah.
point we like, all right, now we got to figure out, like, obviously we can't figure out the rest of our life at that
Yeah.
time, but we needed to figure out, all right, so what's next, right? So we were, asking
Mhm.
a lot of questions of, like, well, what is it that we need to be doing, right?
Yeah.
To kind of like get the boots on the ground, like, do,
Mhm.
and we like, all right, well, we're gonna go get, food stamps. Well, here's the thing. We didn't understand the system of a lot of
Mhm.
things. So kind of like going back into like the things that we discussed, we was trying to see if we had some money somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah.
Our mom had bank accounts for us. Both. She had bank accounts for us both. And we kind of was kind of sifting through those things to figure out, we had money in those accounts, but we didn't.
Mhm.
Um, and so we like, okay, cool. So knowing that we didn't have a lot of options to figure out, if it was some money just kind of miraculously like laying around or whatever that our mother could have like left behind. Cause like
Mhm.
Marquita told y'all, we ain't had nothing. We was broke. We were broke college students. You know what I'm saying? We ain't had nothing. So that's what made us kind of put fire under our feet and say, all right, well, we need to try to get something. So when we went to social service, we were unaware what the process was, but we were too old to get like what is that? Um was it cash assistance?
No, you're not too old for cash assistance.
Right. Okay, so that's not it.
Mm-mm.
It
I
was
don't
it
know.
was something surrounding along the lines of like, or maybe this is just what I thought. Like I thought maybe we could get some type of like assistance, financially because we didn't have our
Mhm.
mom and we were still teens. But
I don't know. I know we applied for pretty much everything. We
mm-hmm,
applied for cash assistance. We applied for stamps. We applied for Section 8 housing. Um,
and we only got the food
yeah,
stamps.
we got the food stamps, and the wait for Section 8 was so long. Like
Mm-hmm. But you know
we were
what?
on the list, but I think they did reach out to us at some point. But I think by then we were.
Back at mommy's
I
house.
think no, I think we were in college. Excuse me. At
That's
that
a
point,
long time.
I think
So
I don't. I don't know.
what I wanted to say before I lose my thought on what you were saying. So let me take that back. It's not that it had nothing to do with age. I just think that we didn't meet the criteria to get cash assistance. I don't think
Oh,
because we only ended
probably.
up getting the food stamps.
Mhm.
We didn't get Section
Yeah.
8. We didn't get cash assistance, but we were, lucky enough to get food stamps. So that was better. That was something better than nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and so, we'll like that's not the highlight of the story is about like us getting the cash assistance and so all of that or the social service stuff, but we just wanted to kind of bring that up, or at least I did, to show like the things that our mom was already set on, like, okay, cool, we got that, now what's next. So we were
Yeah.
spending time trying to figure out how we can get back into college. We didn't
Mhm.
understand like the we didn't understand like the process of like um the whole college thing. We just thought that we could just go and apply for another college and then we can just
Yeah.
get right in there. But that's
Mhm.
not how it works, right? And I know we kind of allude to this a lot, and I think we probably talk about it as well. Is like our mom was very private,
Mhm.
and as a lot of moms would do, you're not going to tell your kids about financial stuff regarding schooling, because as
Mhm.
a parent you're like, well, I'm taking care of that, you don't have to worry about that, right?
Right.
So we had no clue that we owed anything until we actually started the process to figure out that, oh, we owe money, type of
Mhm.
thing. So that was also another hurdle for us. But in the meantime, we were still trying to build our life skills and like trying to learn things
Yep.
gradually, because life just felt like it was going to take off from there,
Yeah.
and we were just trying to you know like plant that flag on the hill to be like, okay, cool, like we need to start like
Mhm.
trying to figure out what it's going to look like for us moving forward, at least as far as we can see for now. And
Which I don't. I think we moved a little too quickly with that. I I think we should have definitely slowed down a lot and gave ourselves time to really sit with what we just went through. And I wanted to for us to kind of touch on this before we left the topic of the funeral, because it was just placed in my mind just thinking about somebody that may be about to experience a funeral of a mom or mom figure, or somebody that maybe just went through a funeral experience. And I wanted us to kind of give, two or three things, that some words of encouragement to whoever is listening that may be about to experience their funeral for their mom or their mom figure, or just ended the funeral. Um, and what are some words to kind of, just from what we've experienced, to kind of help get them through that. So what would you say are like well, however many you want to list, words of encouragement?
yeah, no, that was good. I like what you did there. I like what you did there. Um, and that's kind of on spot too. So, well, what I would say is this, and Marquita just said it. Um, take time to process, right? Process your emotions. and to
Mhm.
grieve, right? Like, don't allow anybody to tell you, like, oh, well, come on, we got to get back, you got to get back up on the horse. It's Grief is heavy, it's hard, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And, that's something that, like, you should take time to actually sit and process and be around family, be around love, be around support, and don't let nobody tell you
Mhm.
how long it's going to take you to actually feel like you can function. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, cuz like we always say, like, it's no time limit on grief. Grief is infinite. And especially when you lose a mom or mom figure, and or your parents for that matter. I think,
Mhm.
just kind of use that time to actually, like, be vulnerable with yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't like don't rush to try to take away the feeling, because it's not going to go away.
Mhm.
Like, don't rush to be like, I don't want to feel this way, and no, feel all the ways you need to feel,
Mhm.
like, this, despite what it may come with, because grief is ugly. And you know that's when you figure out who is really in your corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's my, my tidbit I was saying. And also to understand that with, like with grief, it may feel like you're in a place where you can't ever recover from, but
Mhm.
there is, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel with grief. And I'm not saying that it's gonna remove all your feelings or all of the ways that you're gonna
Yeah.
feel, because you're gonna always feel these ways. But what I am saying is that you do learn each and every day. You grow through grief. Exactly what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
You grow through it, and you kind of get to a place where you're able to function a little bit more, and you're able to kind of give more of yourself. But it also teaches you to how to show up for other people, like,
Yeah.
and utilize those moments to show up for yourself the same way you would want to show up for somebody else during that process. Like, allow people to
Mhm.
love on you. Like,
Yeah.
allow people to love on you. Don't do what we did and say, yeah, no, we okay. And then, just kind of blitz straight into, like, everything else, when in actuality, like, no, we should have slowed down. We should have just chilled out for a little bit and try to process it as much as we could in order to kind of, like, gradually move forward, right?
Yeah.
But what I will say is, because we did that, I think that allowed us to build this platform,
Yep.
because now we're at a place where we're trying to unpack the things that we should have done years
Differently.
ago.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn. So now that's why we always preach on this platform to do the things, or to, push you to try your best to be vulnerable during this process, because it's important, and to lean on support. So Marquita, what would you say?
Yeah. I think your words were really, really good. I would say the only one I would say is be present. Please, please be present. I feel like I spent a lot of the time drifting off, or which, I mean, don't get me wrong, naturally it's going to happen because you're experiencing something that's traumatic. But as best as you can, be present. Be in the moment and check in with yourself and ask yourself the hard questions. Does this, not does it hurt? Obviously it hurts, but how is this making me feel? Do I want to cry? Do I need to cry? Am I angry? Am I mad? Am I sad? Am I confused? Am I like, check in with yourself and give yourself that grace and permission to feel. Don't don't numb your feelings. And I know it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's you feel like, why me? It's so many things, so many feelings that you're feeling. but give yourself permission to feel as many of them as you can. Don't box them up and push them to the side and pretend that they're not there. It's not going to help you. It's just giving you a false impression that it's okay to just put this cape on and just put this mask on and pretend. Because the more open and honest you are with yourself, the more open and honest you can be with other people. And people want to help, but they don't know how to help because they don't know how you're feeling. They don't know what you need. And sometimes you may not even know what you need. And that's okay for you to say, you know what, I don't know what I need, but I need you to be present with me. I need you to be here with me. I need you to call and check on me often. I don't know specifics, but I need you here. And I think when we do that, it puts us in a mindset of being intentionally vulnerable. And when I say intentional, I mean even on the days when you don't feel like it, you still push through. You still talk about the hard things. You still say the hard feelings, even when you can't match words to it. It trains your brain to be like, okay, I can speak about this. I can communicate about this, and so you don't feel alone. Because it's a lonely feeling. It's a very lonely feeling to just know that your mom is gone. It just, in that moment, it may be people in the room who understand what you're going through, but to you, it feels like nobody understands. And I think that's how you can bring people in, is if you are being intentional about being in check with yourself. So just, be present and take your time. Take your time. If you just need a second to step away, to breathe through it, take that moment. If you need a moment to stay behind while everybody else clear the room after the funeral is over, take that moment. If you need to, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do, do it. And be okay with that. And don't feel the need to care so much about other people, because we did a lot of that. Caring a lot about other people, that we were taking away from ourselves and the things, which was, naturally, you're going to check on the people that you care about. So there's nothing wrong with that. But when that becomes the sole focus, that can be the problem. So those are things that I would definitely say to anybody that may be experiencing a funeral coming up, or may have just experienced a funeral, or have to plan one, or whatever the case may be, when you have to lay your mom or mom figure to rest. I would say those are the things that I would say, and invite God in on everything. Talk to Him, because He's going to give you the comfort that nobody else in that room can give you. He's going to give you the peace that nobody else can give you. He is going to take you in and put you under His wings and care about you in ways that nobody else in the room can. So, all of these things, yes, they are easier said than done. And it can sound like the pot calling the kettle black. It can sound like, well, it's easy for you to say. It can sound like all of those things, but we're just speaking from a viewpoint of, if we could go back and kind of redo some things, these are things that we just have learned from what we've been through.
And also too, just to add a little tidbit, and hopefully I'm not going too far off the cliff with this, but um and we talk about being honest and having the hard conversations and the hard truth surrounding grief. If anyone who's watching right now is struggling and they feel like they need professional help, right? Um, please, like, don't be vulnerable enough to seek that. Like, if you feel like, what you've been doing is not enough, whether it's I'm hanging with support system, but I still feel this way, or like, because sometimes grief can push you to a limit that you've never seen, another version of yourself. And
Yeah.
so don't be ashamed to get the help that you need if you absolutely need the additional help. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Never be too prideful or never be ashamed, because grief is different for everybody and it affects everybody differently.
Yep.
Like, and when it changes you, like, it's going to change you regardless. But sometimes it's hard for some people to cope and deal with it. And
Mhm.
so all I'm saying is add that to your vulnerability checklist. Like if you feel like you need additional help, do not be afraid to seek it. Like
Yeah.
we encourage you to please, please, please. That's a part of taking care of yourself. And that's another thing too, as well, that I guess like to add as well for people who may be newly dealing with this. Make sure you're taking care of yourself during grief as well, as best as you can, right? Like just meaning like tending to yourself, like Marquita said, and not worrying about how the other people around you are feeling about you losing your mom or mom figure. Try to focus on yourself because that's also a way of escaping what you feel.
Yep.
So that's all
For
I wanted to
sure.
say.
Yeah. And, I wanted to backtrack to that because I felt like it was necessary for us because we always want to use this platform, not just to get on here and just talk about us, but in hopes that the things that we are talking about, that we always include or think about other people and the fact that we're not the only ones that are going through this. So we hope, I always want to find moments to stop and pause and try to help pull somebody else up. So much of what Nick said after the funeral, we really went into it. Almost felt like a checkbox to me. Like we just, it was no gray area. It was funeral. Okay, let's take off. We need to do this, and the list just went on and on and on for things that we felt like we needed to get up and do, which I personally think, and I don't know if Nick agrees with this, but a lot of that stemmed from us, I think, not maybe not wanting to deal with what was actually going on, just staying busy. And we mentioned that before in our videos, like, let's just kill the myth of just keep busy or stay busy or however it's worded. And I think we definitely had our double dose of being busy. And I think a lot of that we didn't necessarily need to do. Parts of it, we wouldn't be where we are, like Nick said, if we didn't. But I do think that, I don't know, because I feel like we're going to be where we're going to be regardless because it's God's plan. But I do think that maybe we could have experienced some things differently had we would have just took our time and not felt like we were running this imaginary race in our head with this situation. So I'm gonna pause this right here and jump into if haven't had visiting hours, because I want us next episode to dive right into um I don't want to say it's the meat and potatoes, but it's important. It means a lot to us. This part of our story, in terms of just our being resilient and being persistent, and all the things and doing what we need to do so that we can get back into school. So that's a really important part of the story that we want to share, that we love sharing, because it means a lot to us. So we are gonna pause this episode and we'll pause this portion of the episode, and we're going to jump right into if heaven had visiting hours, what are we saying this week? So I will go and I'll say, if heaven had visiting hours, what would I say to mommy? Hmm. I don't know why I chose to go first. Like I already had my answer in my head because I don't. Do you know what you want to say, Nick? Because I don't know.
Um, man, maybe I don't even.
I,
Um. Oh, so if haven't had visiting hours, like I would want to not really ask mommy anything, but I just would want to just kind of have a conversation with her just about like the different transitions of life, right? Like I feel like right now, like, and I think we talked about this before, but I just feel like 30s is different. like is different from your 20s, was different from your late teens, it's different from your
Mhm.
20s. And I feel like, and I feel like I already know mama would be like, hi girl, bye. I mean,
Mhm.
like, but I'm asking you, I want to know, like, I want to know. I just, I don't know. Sometimes I just be wanting to just hear some of mommy's wisdom. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and, just kind of, because every day is just so different. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's unpredictable. Like one minute, like you up, next minute you like, and I'm all right. Then the next minute you like in the pits, and then you right back up. It's like it's constantly like moving. Like like I
Mhm.
feel like the goalpost is always moving, with life. And I just wanna, kind of just be encouraged by some wisdom that that she has, and kind of, well, yeah, mommy lived her whole 30s.
Mhm.
So just kind of like hand some like some wisdom, um, and kind of just talking about, and it's crazy because I also thought about this too, like just talking about like maybe like I would be elated to be like, hey man, like what do you think like our like next trip would have been if you were still here? Like
Mhm.
where do you think we would have been traveling at? Because mommy like to explore things, and I would love to hear like what she would say. And I don't know, it's
Mhm.
just a lot of things I would say, but this week I think I'll say those things because it's like we never got a chance to be adults with mommy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and I feel like a lot of times people get that, um and that's so underrated as well. Like people get to experience their adulthood with their parents,
Mhm.
something that like I just feel so robbed of, man. Like
Yeah.
I
That's
just
true.
I just feel so robbed of because I feel like you get a different version of your parents when you're an adult.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say. Now, do you feel like you ready to say what you got to say? You figure it out this time?
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't say anything. I think I would want to just hug mommy, just hug her and hold her hand, and just to feel her presence in that way. That's what I would spend my visiting hours this week doing. I just want to hug mommy and little small things, touch her hair, hold her hand, just stare at her. Um, just those kind of things. I don't think I really would have much to say, but I definitely would spend my time doing that with these visiting hours.
I'm already knowing in the visiting hour she would be telling us the same thing. Girl, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Like our mom
That's
was
our
not
favorite
really
thing to say.
affectionate. Like so I'm
She was not affectionate.
no, she was not all of that touching her and wanting to. She want to hug you when she want to hug you, or give you a
Mm-hmm.
kiss on the cheek when she want to give you a kiss on the cheek.
And it ain't no long, drawn out hug.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
definitely not. So yeah, that's what I would do during my visiting hours. Feel free to leave down in the comments what would y'all do if y'all could visit with your mom or mom figure during visiting hours this week in heaven. What would you say? What would you do? What would you envision that moment to be like? So we hope that segment helps you all to go to a more positive place today, and our hearts and our prayers go out to those that may not have been able to reach that point in this episode, or maybe struggling to kind of put those ideas in the forefront of your mind. Um, it won't always be like that. And one day you will be able to get to a point where you can say positive things, where you can think about great, pleasant memories, and it not maybe feel so hard. So we are going to move to closing this episode out. We hope that you all have enjoyed what we've talked about so far with this episode 207. We hope that it has touched you in ways and has helped you in ways that um, you didn't know that you needed. So we always end all of our episodes with the cheers. Again, we stress that grief is already heavy in itself. So we included this segment in our podcast because we want to promote um we want to promote positivity and healing because both can exist. Two things can be true at one time. And maybe it won't all be positive, but there are some positive moments or memories that you can kind of reflect on. So this is our time to cheers, whatever we want to cheers to, as we close out, this episode. So what are we cheersing to this week? What are you drinking on this week, Nick?
Well, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I actually finished my drink right before we hopped on the podcast, so I have nothing in my possession right now.
That's okay.
Um,
I have water for us both. So
yeah,
I will be cheersing for us both
for us,
today.
yeah, because I
Hmm.
don't have like an actual drink. But what I will say is that I think that we should just cheers to um just in general, like not pertaining to the platform, but just for life in general. I think it's so
Yeah,
underrated. I don't think
so good.
that we, you know, think about how blessed we are. Not even just
Hmm.
us, but people who are still living, still have all their limbs, still in their right state of mind, that are just,
Yeah.
that are just still able to show up as their best self each and every day, because everybody
Hmm.
don't get the same chances.
Yep.
And I just want to cheers to that, because without life, we wouldn't even be here to tell our story. We wouldn't be
Hmm.
here to share this platform with you all. And so, I just want to kind of cheers to that, because I think that we take it for granted, like, oh yeah, we supposed to be here. Like this
Right.
is how it's supposed to be. But just like
No.
our loved ones gone before us, it could be anybody's time at any given day. And so
Yep.
I just want to just cheers to life, because I'm
Mhm.
just super grateful to still be here, right? Because you said it before, grief could have took us a whole different way. Like it could have put us in a different situation where we're not here in front of you right now sharing our story. So I just want to cheers to that, because it is an underrated blessing that I feel like is either overlooked or not
Hmm.
taken seriously, or that's taken for granted. What would you say?
Absolutely. I agree with that 1000%. I think that's the perfect cheers. Um, and yeah, let's cheers to that. So, cheers. I'm
Cheers.
having a nice glass of cold water with my straw.
Cheers. I had some
And
green tea, but it's gone.
yeah,
So
I'm cheersing for me and Nick. So, cheers to life. Thank you, God. Cheers to life. That was a great cheers. So, as always, we thank y'all for tuning in. We hope that you all enjoyed this episode and that you enjoy our content in general. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We would love to interact with you all in the comments, so just leave us some comments below. And as always, you can follow us on all social media platforms at Angel22. And we love you all very much. We thank you for all of your support. We appreciate you. And until next episode, we love you. Bye.
bye.